We get 50 phone calls a week from people mistaking us for ghost hunters.
There's something in my house.
Do you believe? There's something going on in that house that we cannot explain.
That we cannot explain yet.
Do you think a poltergeist is controlling me?
Sometimes the unbelievable can mask a dark truth. Exploring the unexplained. Sea of Souls. New weekend drama starts Saturday at 9 on BBC One.
Now on BBC One, Dermot Menahan with a specially extended BBC News.
1 week after the earthquake disaster, the biggest aid effort the world has ever seen. 5 million are homeless. Many families are at risk from waterborne diseases. In Sri Lanka, supplies begin to get through in spite of heavy flooding. And here, prayers are said across the country as the British death toll rises. Good evening. Food parcels and medical supplies are finally getting through to areas devastated by the tsunami disaster, but the pressure is on to speed up the distribution of aid to remote areas. According to the United Nations, about 1.8 million people are short of food and about 5 million are homeless. Clean water and sanitation are urgent priorities. 1 week on, we'll be assessing the picture across the region. Jeremy Bowen has the latest from eastern Sri Lanka. Jonathan Charles reports from the isolated Andaman Islands. And Kylie Morris is in Thailand's worst-hit region. But we begin tonight with Indonesia, where 80,000 people have died and 1 million more are homeless. In a moment, Ben Brown on the first British aid to arrive in the country. But first, Andrew Harding in the northern town of Banda Aceh, which was closest to the scene of last Sunday's earthquake.
Scrubbed off the map, a little town called Chalang. 2/3 of the population dead. And the survivors in a shocking state. We flew in with a team of doctors to a place that's been cut off from the outside world. Infections are spreading fast here.
The situation's really bad here. We're going to need a lot more drugs and equipment fast. The infections have got to a serious stage.
Rosmiati's 2-year-old is getting weaker by the day.
He got diarrhea. Diarrhea.
What do you think will happen here now? What will you do now?
Rencana ibu gimana selanjutnya?
Ayahnya nggak selamat, orang tua saya nggak ada, saya nggak tahu gimana.
I don't know, she says. I don't know what to do. Everyone else in the family is dead. Down by the shoreline, I found some new arrivals. Survivors who just walked 20 miles to this ruined town, hoping to find help. So far, it's still scarce. This is what we live on, said Supriyadi.
So this is the only water you have?
Yes, he said, milk from the coconuts, and now some rice to eat. That rice has just started arriving here, brought in by helicopter in fits and starts. It's a lifeline which many thousands of families are now utterly dependent on.
So a little aid is finally getting through to towns like Chalang. Here comes another helicopter with more. It's just about enough to keep the survivors alive. But still, you've got to wonder, what on earth is going to happen to places like this in the future? Is anyone really ever going to live here again?
Already, the few who can are leaving here fast. This afternoon, 14-year-old Ria was flown away, perhaps for good. The wave broke her arm and wiped out her entire family. One victim rescued, but thousands more left behind. Andrew Harding, BBC News, Chalang, Indonesia.
Banda Aceh's little airport has suddenly become the hub for what is the biggest aid operation in history. Even so, it's still not enough and not fast enough. In fact, sometimes box loads of relief supplies sit on the runway for hours at a time, and the pace of this airlift can seem frustratingly slow. The planes that bring aid in take out injured survivors of the disaster and some of those made home.